Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel and welcome to this week's GT Sport Daily Race C Race and Strategy Guide. Week number 6 is taking us to the picturesque Sardegna road track A in Italy, and we are in the Group 3 machinery. Now the detail sets for this one are as follows: 10 laps to get round, fuel at times 2, tyre weight at times 8, soft and medium tyres both available, both of which should be mandatory. BOP is on, of course, damage is off, rolling start, slipstream is real. No change as ever for those 4 settings in Daily Race C. So we have actually done this combination before. It was 10 months ago, back in March of 2021. I think we had the exact same fuel and tyre multipliers back then as well. And the car that kind of tended to dominate, certainly in qualifying back then, was the McLaren BMW F1. And that is the car that we are going to use as our test bed for this one. Now, we do actually test another car a little bit later on in the video, because it kind of came to my attention when I looked back at the live stream that although this car did dominate qualifying, there was probably a better race car, and that is the Corvette C7. So we will be taking a look at the Corvette after we've completed the 2 runs here in the McLaren BMW F1, and it will give us an interesting kind of snapshot as into which car is better at what car is quicker, what one's better on the tyres, etc. And I'll give you my reasons as to why I think the other car that we're going to take a look at is probably better for most people in the race. But that's not to say that the McLaren BMW F1 is not more than capable. There's certainly not a lot of difference between the sort of lap times between them and the finishing times, but I think just for a couple of attributes that the Corvette's got, it will be a little bit of a more friendly choice for most players out there. So with all that said, let's move on to the strategy element of the video, because that's what the video is titled. So let's take a look at the strategy from this point onwards. And first up, we're going to take a look at the soft medium strategy. Got a crossover lap time there of a 1:41.7. Now whenever you're trying to work out the soft medium strategy, it's fairly simple. Do some laps on the medium tyres, get a rough idea what kind of lap time you're capable of doing on the medium tyres, and then when you run the soft tyres, once you start approaching that kind of lap time, you know that it's time to get into the pits and move on to the other compound of tyre. That's certainly how I kind of formulate the strategy anyway. As we come across the start finish line here to complete lap number 1, let's move forward to where I think that lap is in the McLaren F1. So we're on to lap number 6 now. You can see we've done a 1:41.2 on lap 4, a 1:41.8 on lap 5. Don't think that was a great lap, to be honest with you, and as we come through the second sector on lap 6 here, we're only 4 tenths down on our best lap. I think we're heading maybe for about a 1:41.5, 1:41.6 here, but I could see the tyres were starting to give up at this point. You can see the tyre wear down in the bottom left hand corner there, pretty severe at this point, so it's definitely time to go into the pits and get some fresh boots on. Select the medium tyres there. I guess it'll give us an opportunity to take a look at that pit loss and the fuel situation. So no surprises whatsoever. There is no fuel to worry about in this one. It's been a long time, I say all the time, but it has been a long time since we kind of had a fuel limited race in Daily Race C. In terms of pit loss, you're looking at 20.8 seconds, and as you come on the run down here towards turn number 1, you're obviously approaching turn number 1 a lot slower than normal, so you can brake just before the 50 metre board. That should get you nicely into turn number 1 on the sort of fresh tyres, even though they're a little bit cold, nice and comfortable without issue. Okay then, let's jump forward to lap number 10 here and see how these medium tyres have been performing. And fairly inconsistent is kind of probably the answer to that one. A 1:41.5 followed up by a 1:41.1. That did seem to be a pretty good lap. I wasn't expecting to go quite as quick as that on the medium tyres, but I think we kind of judged that sort of crossover lap just about right. Lap number 6 here. Now we are pretty good at looking after tyres. I think for some players out there, lap number 5 will be a little bit better, and for the absolute mega tyre savers, lap number 7 may well be possible. But I think in terms of the McLaren does seem to be quite heavy on tyres, as we shall see when we take a look at the Corvette. I think for a lot of people it's going to be lap number 5, lap number 6. Seems to be a kind of around a bit of a window there with the tyres. The sort of worn softs and the fresh mediums are very close in performance. Finishing off of a 1:41.4, 17 minutes 18.1 for the finishing time. They're fairly short Daily Race C in all honesty. Should be, I reckon another lap in there would have been much better. Take us towards that 19 and a half minute mark. Absolutely no harm in that. I think the last race we just did there at Catalonia, of course, was over the 19-minute mark. So yeah, I think an extra lap on this one would certainly have opened the strategy up a little bit more. And yeah, just took us closer to that 20-minute mark, is which we're kind of looking for in the daily race seat anyway. So let's take a look at the medium soft strategy now. So again, whenever you're on the medium soft strategy, you're going to tend to use this one if you're starting towards the back of the grid or in the midfield. It does tend to be the quicker strategy because the soft medium strategy very much relies on you being able to utilise the pace of the softs at the beginning, and if you're getting embroiled in any kind of fighting or battling, then generally you're just losing out to the medium runners behind. You know, we pitted as early as lap number 3. Obviously we did 6 laps on the previous run, so we are looking to do a longer run on the soft tyres when you go for the alternate strategy, because you are burning off a little bit of that fuel. We only kind of tried to do the 1 extra lap, and probably that's about as much as the McLaren is capable of. Of course, this strategy is always about that balance of how big an undercut you get, track position, and how bad your tyre is at the end. The earlier you pit, the bigger the undercut you get, the worse your tyres are at the end. This is a track where it's not particularly difficult to overtake. As you come out this last corner, you've got a massive straight all the way down to turn number 1. So if you pit on lap number 1, yeah, you may get some track position, you may be able to hold on, but there's every chance that if you start getting caught by other cars, you're not going to be able to defend them down into turn number 1. So I think lap number 3 in the McLaren is about as early as you want to go. You probably can go a little bit earlier than that, but you will be really struggling towards the end. Look at our tyre wear in the bottom left hand corner there, pretty severe as you can see. So I think for the McLaren, going for the medium soft strategy, you're looking at lap number 3 for most people to be relatively comfortable anyway. So let's now take a look at the Corvette C7, because I do actually think this is a better race car for most people, and that's purely just down to the tyre wear. Now we are on lap 10 here, but yeah, doing that first stint, the tyres compared to the McLaren after 4 or 5 laps were in much better shape. And you can see that reflected in the lap times. Our lap 5 lap time in the McLaren was a 141.8, and you can see we're kind of in the sort of high 40s, low 41s all the way up there to lap number 5. And the Corvette is just such a stable car to drive. Then the McLaren is pretty stable as well, but the Corvette is just particularly stable. The long times as I've driven the Corvette, to be honest with you, and I can't believe how enjoyable it is to drive. It's just an absolute dream. No hassle with it whatsoever. Now the reason the Corvette is very, very good round here is because of its traction out of the slow corners. For a FR car, that's a front engined, rear wheeled, rear drive car, its traction out of the slow corners is incredible, and there's actually 3 big points on this track where you need to have that traction. In fact, 4 big points on this track where you need to have that traction. In terms of on the medium tyres as well, it felt a lot more comfortable than the McLaren F1. But ultimately, in terms of pace on the soft tyres, just around about the same, but with that tyre wear it was just a little bit more consistent. So this is why I think this car is probably a better choice for most people. I think a lot of people could go to the lap 6 quite comfortably on this. The tyre savers could be looking at laps 7 or 8, and of course, because it's better on the tyres, it gives you a bigger scope on that alternative strategy as well, where, you know, the people who are very, very good at saving tyres could maybe even pit at the end of lap 1, certainly the end of lap 2, and get 8 to 9 laps out of the soft tyres. They're going to be suffering at the end regardless, but I think you'd be much more comfortable doing that strategy in the Corvette compared to the McLaren. And we actually went 1.6 seconds faster than the McLaren for our finishing time as well. So yeah, I do think that is probably the best car out there for most people. Other cars you can maybe take a look at is the Aston Martin DBR9 GT1. Very good in a straight line. Not too bad around this track. I remember using it last time we did this combination and it was pretty decent. Nissan GTR GT3, again, just a monster in a straight line as well. Although coming out of those slow corners in that car might not be a lot of fun. The Dodge Viper should be pretty handy around here as well, very similar in terms of driving style and the attributes to the Corvette. Just a very, very stable car, good in a straight line as well. The Aston Martin Vantage V8 should be pretty good as well. You've got those pretty good on the traction zones, very, very good acceleration. You get 4 kind of points on the track where you need to have that acceleration, so I can see that car being pretty handy. And the Jaguar F-Type is a bit of a sleeper as well. This is a car that's surprisingly good on the tyres. Always catches me out how strong it is on the tyre wear. And the Lexus is the last car I think may well be kind of fairly useful around here. Just a good all-rounder. Again, it's a car that kind of just surprises you by how quick it can be. A bit of a sleeper car, a bit like the Jaguar. Taking a look at some of the bits of the track that I wanted to highlight, this is the run into turn number 1. Because of the slipstream effect down here into turn number 1, you'll very often be trying to make a move onto your car. They will usher you to the outside and it's very easy to end up in that gravel trap, so yeah, you need to have a little bit of trust in the drivers around you. This is turns 4 and 5, I believe. This is a good overtaking opportunity. You can go round the outside of turn number 4 and then get the inside for turn number 5. A very sneaky move, if you like. And this is the fast left-hander towards the end of the lap. Now this is a corner I beg you not to go side by side with in another car, because you will get pushed off the track. It's very, very difficult side by side with another car. It'll put you into that barrier and you'll end up spinning around. And the other danger zone of this track is at the last corner. Again, if you go around the outside of someone or you run just a little bit wide, there's a very good chance that you clip the grass and you end up in this barrier, and you're going to have an accident that looks just a little bit like this. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of people spinning around at the last corner, and that barrier definitely claims just as many souls at this track as the old chicane of souls at Dragon Trail Seaside, so do be very careful of that barrier. Okay then, let's move on to this part of the video where we kind of just reiterate everything that we've already learned over the course of the video in terms of the strategy. Looking back at the soft medium strategy, obviously this is the strategy you want to be using if you're starting towards the front, because you can make the best use of the soft tyres. It's very easy for this strategy to go wrong though if somebody on medium tyres starts ahead of you and they hold you up by 2 or 3 seconds. That's all it takes for the soft medium strategy to pretty much go wrong, but if you can kind of use the softs at the beginning, you should be in good shape. Softs will last around about 5 to 7 laps depending on the car, the input device that you're using and your driving style before fresh mediums will become faster. So what do I mean by that? We've seen the McLaren, it's much worse on tyres compared to the Corvette, so you're looking more towards the sort of lap 5 for the McLaren and more towards lap 7 for the Corvette if you're also pretty good at saving tyres as well. But yeah, that's pretty much the soft medium strategy in a nutshell. You want to be able to utilise that soft tyre pace at the beginning and then hold on towards the end with the mediums. In terms of the alternate strategy, the medium soft strategy, this is obviously best used if you're starting in the midfield or towards the rear. And as ever, this strategy is all about balancing that size of the undercut, track position and tyre wear. So what we mean by that is the earlier you pit, the bigger the undercut you get, the better the track position you end up with him, but the worse the tyre wear will be towards the end. And it's very easy to kind of look like you're in a good position on lap number 8 out of 10. That tyre wear kicks in big time. Cars start catching up with you, you start getting bullied out the way and you start going backwards very, very quickly. So yeah, I think for most people lap 3 is going to be a lot more comfortable to pit from the mediums onto the softs. Most people should be able to do 7 laps on the softs fairly comfortably, but you will see a lot of people pitting on lap 1 and 2, mostly because they've probably got an inherent speed advantage over the cars around them, that they're doing a last to first challenge, so they can kind of make the worn tyres work a little bit better. But yeah, I think lap 3 probably the most comfortable for most people doing the medium soft strategy. Let's finish the video off though with a lap guide. We are in the McLaren F1. We'll come down towards turn number 1. You're looking for the 100 metre board, but you want to be braking slightly before that, maybe about 110, 115 metres. Get the car into the camber of the first corner there, will help the car around. Get on the throttle nice and early, because you've got a fairly decent run down here towards turn number 4. You're looking for the 50 metre board, sacrifice a little bit of entry speed in here, so you've got a much better line for the right hander. Watch these curbs on the inside as well. These fin curbs are very nasty for a lot of the cars, they do not like them at all. You're looking for the PlayStation boards here, and you're looking to sort of break between the second and the third one. Very, very tricky corner. This is hard to find an acceleration point, but it's very crucial towards your lap because it leads on to this back straight. And with the slipstream at this track, and well, generally the slipstream in Gran Turismo Sport, getting an exit of any corner onto a straight is absolutely crucial. So the 100 metre board, or around about 110 metres, you want to don't leave it as late as the 100 metre board, because you need to get this car in nice and tight to this very tight left hander here to sort of catch the camber, or the car will understeer quite dramatically. And then you're coming up to the super fast left-handers. You're looking for the curb on the right-hand side there, just at the end of the curb. Come off the throttle, throw the car in, hope it sticks, and you should be golden. 100 metre board here for the last corner. Keep it nice and tight. Don't run it wide into that barrier that we pointed out a little bit earlier on. And that is pretty much a lap off Sardegna in the McLaren BMW F1. This last corner here is full throttle, and yeah, you get a massive slipstream here from some of the other cars. If you're 6 tenths, 7 tenths behind another car, you do actually have the opportunity to look for that move into turn number 1, which is going to cause me all ends of frustration over the course of the week, because I do like to have a good moan about the slipstream. But hopefully this video has been useful in some way, shape or form. I'm quite looking forward to this one. It was a nice combo last time, and yeah, we should have a few live streams over the course of the week, and hopefully you can join me for them. But please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and you found the video useful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.